Hello and welcome to another episode of Noble. And today I bring someone that we've been in the same space with, doing almost the same things, but we never had a chance to meet. And today we bring her on the show to just share a few of the things she does and also her personal story. Miss Sindani.
Hi, Andre.
Hi. Thank you for taking your time to be here.
It's my pleasure, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, before we start, we really want to know you, what you do, who you are.
So, in this context, for this conversation, I'm going to say I am an SRHR advocate. That is Sexual Reproductive Health Rights Justice advocate. But by profession, I am a research consultant in advocacy, also in communications. And above all, I am a daughter of Africa.
A daughter of Africa?
Yeah.
What should that mean?
That means truly, authentically African and Kenyan. And I love my nation, I love my continent.
You love Africa?
I love Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the dark people like us.
That melanin defines us. So yeah, I'm really proud of the different shades we are, experiencing right now.
Shade of melanin as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Diversity.
You guys are closer to the West than we are. But anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you talk about you being in the space where there's HR issues, and why is it so important that we educate people around those? Because it's been there for the longest time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has been there for the longest time, as long as man and woman were created. Reproductive health, exactly.
Okay.
We are literally, me and you are literally a product of reproductive health. And yesterday I was having a conversation with a few colleagues of mine, and I was just trying to paint the picture around how SRHR is even important to the economy of this country, of any country and the world. I want you to take a scenario where you have gone to a public hospital, wherever, and I just need you to place yourself in that situation and try to see the number of patients or clients streaming in that facility.
Yes.
You will realize that probably the majority are going to be of the female gender. And even for the male gender, probably they have come accompanied by their female counterparts, whether it's a dad or a brother or a husband or a son with their mother. And you will realize that some of the services they're coming to seek are related to reproductive health.
Yes.
Whether it is a pregnant woman coming for prenatal care, whether it is an adolescent girl coming to look for services and information or commodities around family planning or contraceptives, whether it is a man that is accompanying his pregnant wife for maybe, let's say, the first, second ANC visit.
Yeah.
Or it's a man accompanying their sister or a girlfriend for post-abortion care.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So women and the reproductive health is one of the most contributor towards the health finances, especially in Kenya. But then you look at the policy level and the priorities that the governments at the national and county put in place. And it beats logic because reproductive health is still yet to become a priority, especially in Kenya.
Yeah.
And our country relies so much on donor funding.
Yes.
They rely on a stranger to find reasons to invest in its own mothers and girls and adolescents compared to the nation itself.
Yeah.
And so somehow I advocate for that. I advocate for accountability.
Yeah.
I advocate to provide evidence to people that have the power to allocate resources, to make up policies that are going to respond to the needs of young women, to the needs of babies, to the needs of women, mothers, and to the needs of every client that needs to get reproductive health services. So I advocate for the community. I advocate for myself. I am a lady.
Yeah.
And I advocate for strengthened systems that recognize the needs of its people, and then they make decisions that are going to make the realities of these people better.
Wow.
So basically, I am defined by womanhood.
Yes.
And so what else can I do other than advocate for me to enjoy womanhood and the benefits of womanhood in a safe and conducive environment, and for every other woman out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
You look like someone who actually found their purpose in life.
Yeah.
So there was a debate about sex education being introduced at primary school level.
Yes.
I think we grew up studying it at some point, the reproductive health.
Yeah.
It
Certainly.
used to be, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a debate that we need to scrap it off, the primary school education, and then now the proponents. What's your take on that?
Honestly, the fact that reproductive health, or I don't know how we used to call it in class 6, is only but a topic.
Yeah, this is one topic.
A topic.
Yeah, human reproduction.
Exactly.
Yes.
A few pages in a whole book
Yeah.
about a whole subject that is going to teach you about you, about how to understand your body. That is doing injustice to our bodies, to understanding what happens to us, to actually giving people the information and knowledge they need to make better decisions in future. Because to that class 6 student, things are happening to their bodies, and you simply taking a few pages from the textbook and...
Was it really a few pages?
It is a few pages. It should actually be a whole curriculum, not even like a textbook, a curriculum.
But there were supporting books, I mean, towards it.
No,
Okay,
I'm coming to that.
All right.
So first of all, to begin with, that was injustice, because that is not sufficient information. It is only like a little bit, not even basic.
Yeah.
And so the idea of introducing sexuality education, actually we are a bit late. We are behind, because that should have been like amongst the like primary subjects or topics that should be taught at the lowest level of education.
All right.
Even before that girl or that boy comes into adolescence, they should know what to anticipate. They should know what to look forward to.
Yeah.
They should know how to deal with that. So introducing that conversation right now, I mean, it has always been very, very controversial. The policymakers,
the parents themselves were saying it is like the brain of the child is a bit, not so much developed to handle that kind of conversation.
That is relative, Dre. That is relative.
At our class 6 level, we were really resonating with some of the
we
things
were.
that
But you see, I mean, when you were in class 6, me and you, it's quite a different reality compared to now.
Yes.
And so, when a parent comes and say that maybe a child's mind is a bit too young to comprehend such information, then it only means that we have to find a way to go down to the level of that child to communicate in their own languages.
Yeah.
You don't have to teach a child about private parts. You can teach a child about how they should not condone being touched in a wrong way.
Yeah.
And a child understands what is wrong and right. So you can start from the level of the understanding. You don't have to introduce the whole thing to them.
Yeah.
You have to give age-appropriate, comprehensive sexuality education.
Yeah, like now in high school.
Yeah,
it's a bit
exactly.
more complex as
When you are,
compared to
let's say, at age 7, you understand things in a language that resonates with you.
Yeah.
So as adults, we need to have models in where we can communicate to to children of every age. You're not going to use the same language to talk to the 7-year-old as the way you will talk to a 12-year-old or an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old. So instead of looking at the risks or the possibilities or riding on assumptions, why can't we just start to make it work?
Wow.
Why can't we just, because it can actually work, it works. And looking at our culture, we're a bit late because we're just catching up. Maybe this is the start for us to incorporate that aspect in our culture as Africans. We are not so keen on openly talking about sexuality and sex and reproductive health. Even up to now, adults they cannot just call the reproductive parts for their names. They use like things like doo-doo. Why would you tell a kid that the reproductive part is called doo-doo? I mean, doo-doo is an insect.
Yeah.
So we need to be just honest and look at what is happening in our realities and come to terms with that, and then come up with solutions that are going to work without focusing on what will go wrong. Let's actually start doing it, and then let's see what goes wrong, and then let's come up with solutions and strategies.
So as early as what age should a child be introduced to? Okay, in your opinion.
Yes, thank you. I was about to say I'm not like, a professional dealing with children, but I think as early as, I would say 7 years.
7 years.
Because the youngest kid to be a mother, I think, if not at 7, it's actually at 9 years.
Yes.
So why can't we just go a little bit lower to start this conversation at 7 years old?
Of course, your spaces are
Yeah.
now, get new challenges, new dynamics, we're talking about moral conversations.
Yeah.
But we are also having kids being introduced to sex way, way too early as compared to back in the days.
Exactly.
Or, the environment. So what leads to this kind of threats, and how are you people within your spaces trying to bring this conversation to these young people?
So one thing I love about my work is we're always present to what is happening around us. And involving young people in the space of advocacy for SRHR has given path to challenging the status quo and looking at how things were done in the past and how we can do things differently, as well as apply our own experiences as young people to come up with solutions that are going to serve future generations, our own generations, and even they're going to shed more light to how older generations have always understood this subject. So some of the challenges, as you mentioned, is kids are being introduced to harmful media at a very, very young age because of technology,
like,
time, change, which was prone to happen. So we should actually have been ready for this. But unfortunately, we might not have been as ready as we wished. But now we are here. And so that is why we are here actually having these conversations, because maybe someone is listening or watching, and this can serve to help them maybe raise their kids better, or their nieces. So we are, it has started with actually acknowledging that kids are exposed to this harmful content and they might be exposed to sex at a very young age. So that is why providing information is very vital. You give a kid information that resonates with them at their age. And that shows that, maybe they might not understand at that stage, but you are choosing to trust this kid. To trust that they will not do something because they're curious about it. They will have information that will make them know whether this thing is bad or good. But then apart from information, then we have to come in as the adults. If you have a kid or a niece, or you're raising a young person, you do not, understand that we have to work to pay the bills, but then let's not forget the parenting aspect or the role model aspect. We need to be keen to what these kids are exposed to. If a kid must have a gadget, then make sure that you take all the precautions towards regulating what they're going to consume. Make sure you are actually the adult. Don't just give them like misguided trust, blind trust. Be very, very keen and intentional and deliberate. Be in their lives. Exactly. On what they consume. Give them space for you to have conversations. I understand it is very awkward sometimes to have these conversations with kids. I would confess, I have a cousin who is in high school. I am yet still to figure out how I'm going to have this conversation with her. I need to talk to her. I have a cousin who is in primary. I have nieces. I need to be ready and I need to start acting on it. So I also struggle. I'm not even a parent. I am just like a sister and a cousin, but I struggle. So there is a huge struggle in how to deliver these conversations to the kids, so that to not appear awkward or weird or inappropriate. But the first step was me accepting that I need to take responsibility and play my part. So have conversations, create environments that are open and safe for kids to ask questions. Do not vindicate a child for asking about sex. It's not a bad thing. Let's not promote the culture of only talking about sex behind closed doors. Let's make it a normality, but maybe find a way to regulate the conversation so that it doesn't come off like we are encouraging people to engage in it, but actually providing information that gives someone the choice to make a decision from an informed point of view to prevent any future regrets.
And also to create a safe space where our kids can come and share with us their experiences.
Exactly.
Like sexual advances from their peers.
Exactly.
We need to have this conversation.
And above also, let's also not be so trusting about other adults, because most of the sexual offenses occur at the family level. So let's just, not be entirely suspicious. Let's just be aware and be a bit more keen about the environment that we subject children to and the people we subject them to.
I think it should be entirely suspicious, because I did some work with a group called the Dream Girl.
Oh yeah,
Yes, yeah, and I was having conversations with the young girls,
Yeah.
and I realized that the first sex encounter that most kids have had is with people who are very close to them.
That's very unfortunate.
Uncles,
Fathers.
Fathers. I mean,
Yeah.
and then we have this narrative out there that is the border guys who are messing up our girls, in the village. That's what they think.
That is the
But they
narrative,
don't
but
know
we
that
need to
the
expand.
predators are actually within the living house.
Immediate, yeah.
The very immediate people that they hang out with.
Yeah.
And parents also think that, kids are going out there, maybe clubbing and everything. That's why they're having the first encounter. Yet, sex is happening at the couch right in your
I
sitting
know.
room. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes. So those are some of the things, the realities I was coming to
Yeah.
meet and encountering. I'm like, okay, wow, this is what it is against what we are selling out there.
So I want to introduce an aspect about how we can make those conversations easy. I have been doing a bit of work on promoting cross-generational dialogues
Yes.
and mentorship programs, especially among women.
Yeah.
And as much as maybe we have not been keen to realize this concept, it has been happening, the cross-generational concept, where a grandma sits down with a grandchild.
Yes.
They have a conversation that they understand both,
Yes.
or they pass some valuable values, principles, cultures, norms, lessons, experiences, and vice versa. I mean, even a young child has something to teach you as the older person.
Yeah.
So once we embrace this concept, then it's going to make it a bit easy. Once we understand the value that there is between conversations and dialogues that happen across generations,
Yeah.
you make me understand the realities of your generation, the type of challenges you go through,
Yeah.
how you perceive the world, and then in turn I give you the same understanding, the same knowledge, and then once we appreciate each other's worlds and how each other's worlds function, how we reason, then we can come up with a common ground on how we can deal with such issues. So I think people should focus a lot on promoting this concept, cross-generational dialogues, even in institutions, churches, schools, or even any other systems or institutions. They need to embrace this approach to promote those conversations, to get rid of any biases or stereotypes or the gaps between a child and their parent or their mother, between a small sister and their big brother who is like 16 years apart. Between a grandfather or a father and their son. We need to find ways to bring us back together, because many girls have been early mothers. Many boys have been subjected to early fatherhood. Many children have been raised in broken families, or many people have actually suffered so many mental health issues because they lacked the person to talk to them about certain things that would have prevented them from making certain decisions. Or maybe they lacked the space to talk to a more knowledgeable person, or maybe because they were so scared of their parent, they cannot talk about some things. So they died alone, they made wrong decisions, they are bitter at the world simply because maybe we failed to promote that safe and comfortable environment for these two people to come together and share insights.
Great. So we're moving a little bit away from the SRHR, we're going to quality,
Okay,
having women empowerment. Men empowerment is now becoming an issue. So this is a question that I get so many times from, guys who see my works and ask me, what about the boy child and everything? Do you think the girl child has been empowered more than the boy child in the current generation?
Well, it has never been about the boy child versus the girl child, really. It has just been about the girl child.
Yes.
And simply because we have been focusing on the girl doesn't mean we have lost focus on the boy. We are just looking at the situation in a manner where you look at two groups of people, you look at their realities and the issues they're going through. And perhaps as a person, I see myself as someone more equipped to help girls more because I have the resources, the expertise, or the knowledge, or even the know-how on how to deal with the girl. So that doesn't necessarily mean I have forgotten about the boy child. So people shouldn't really see it that way.
So just to inform somebody who, is in that space where they keep asking themselves why do we empower more women than men? They feel more women have been empowered as compared to, so what informs this, what do we call it? What informs many initiatives to focus on the girls. Are there numbers? Are there experiences out there that informs them to really take this kind of initiatives?
Well, I will think before you carry out any advocacy efforts, then you have to look at the numbers.
Yeah.
What are the numbers saying? And I don't know if you'd agree with me, but the African woman has been subjected to a little bit more at disadvantages compared to the African man, subject to the culture, subject to the systems. But then it is unfortunate that initially I would say people would be quick to see it as we are empowering the girl and forgetting the boy. And there could be truth, or there could be truth to that, depending on who is saying it. But then I've seen that with time, and I think we have been aware to that notion. We are actually, we have been breeding amongst communities of, we have forgotten about the boy child. And the advocacy world, the world of philanthropy and CSO has been aware to that fact in a manner that question prompted and challenged people and programs to start incorporating the male aspect as a champion, the male aspect as the partner. It takes two to tango. And as much as the pregnancies, let's talk about pregnancies, the more visible thing. Our culture has taught us to vindicate the lady, the woman. I do not understand how we have grown to be so blind to the fact that it took a man and a woman coming together to form a child, but then we make the woman suffer the stigma, the discrimination, the ridicule, the shame, the embarrassment from an act that took two people. So I will say personally, that is one of the things that drive me to want to change the narrative, to want to really show people the hard reality of what they're trying to ignore. The boy child needs to understand their responsibilities. The girl child needs to understand their responsibilities. Both these people need to be brought together, or separately, they need to be dealt with in ways that are appropriate to the agenda. I will talk to a girl things about girls' issues, but then I will go and talk to the boy, or I will get my male counterpart to go and talk to the boys about the same issues. You go to schools, you give mentorship, you give menstrual hygiene conversations. Let's take that for an example. We know that menstrual hygiene is mostly a woman issue, but then it's a whole society issue, because the man is going to act as the support system for this girl or this woman that is going through this very, very natural biological process. He's going to chip in financially. He's going to chip in physically. Like, let's say a lady experiences really, really painful menses, and they are staying with their partner, and maybe they cannot carry out the normal chores like regularly or normally. Their partner comes in and they physically help around the house. Or a brother understands their sister goes through this rough patch every month. They can advocate for her at school, or maybe when she's being bullied, he steps up for her. So it takes both parties, and it is unfortunate that some people still think that we have forgotten the boy child. It is not entirely true. It is not true. And people like me and you, we work towards slicing off that narrative, because that is not happening. We still nowadays I'm big on the male engagement and the male champions. You guys, our culture has put you in a position of decision making and taking leadership, the influential position. So how can we look forward to a changed society if we do not find a way in which we can bring you guys to our side, to see things from our angle, and to insert that power you have in society, to influence decisions at the policy levels, in institutions, and even in our immediate home and household settings.
I'm really happy and proud of you that you're thinking of bringing these conversations from both ends, because for a very long time, women have confined themselves within spaces where they're speaking about their equality and everything, not just forgetting that the society has placed men in a more influential position.
That's the truth.
There are more male MPs than female MPs. There are more male governors than female. There are more male presidents than female presidents, you know? And we are now balancing these narratives so that we all understand them from each end. But I'm happy that at least you seeing it that way. And I know there are so many people in advocacy world like you who thinks that we need to bring on board the male champions to come and change this narrative.
Yes.
Yeah.
So some of the facilities and a way of incentivizing, let's say, more women to turn up for antenatal care or postnatal care. Facilities have found a way to prioritize a couple that has come for a checkup for pregnancy.
Yes.
If you are coming with your spouse or your male partner, you're given first priority as a way to encourage more women and more men to accompany their wives.
Spouses, yeah.
Because if you're not engaged and involved in this world of a pregnant woman or a menstruating kid or an adolescent, you wouldn't understand their realities, and therefore you might be complacent to lead to promoting or exposing this child or this woman to harm simply because of ignorance.
Yeah.
So once you get to experience their world, then you can empathize, and then you can identify your role and responsibility as the male partner in elevating the status of this lady, of this woman, or your mother or your sister. So it goes down to deliberate effort. It goes down to you as Dre, not just saying yourself, oh, I am a man, therefore I will remain in a man's world. Your man's world wouldn't make sense without my world as a woman, because we exist as one unit, as one community. So let's stop looking at it that way, these are men things, female things. At some point we come together as one person. So let us work towards breaking that stereotype. And I love how you are using interactive media to promote these conversations and dialogues. And as a young person, you are a young person, I'm a young person. I would say I'm so proud of you because we are doing our duty. We are aware to the opportunities we have at this current time. We have access to technology, we have access to cameras, we have access to our own voices. And we're using it to shed light to some of these things. We're using it to have these conversations. So I'm really, really proud of you. And I hope that other people who have access to such resources can continue doing these, because collectively that is how we are going to change the world. That is how we are going to put an end to harmful practices. That is how we are going to revolutionize Africa. And that is how we are going to come through for our women, for our babies, and for our girls and adolescents.
Great. So thank you so much for creating time to be here on the show.
My pleasure.
And going deep like you've gone, just bringing all these conversations around advocacy. And, Noble Podcast is here, Noble YouTube channel, where we are trying to create content to, share our stories, our experiences. So what will be your parting shot to people who are viewing? This is a platform where we connect people through stories.
Well, I love how you tell your stories, and thank you so much for giving me the chance to tell my story. That is my community's story. My parting shot is actually a question.
To me?
To you and to the viewers and the listeners. So in Kenya, there's a recent case where a child sued their parent for giving birth to them.
Ooh, okay.
This child did not ask to be conceived. But once they were conceived, then they were neglected. And so the child has taken the parents to court, suing them for negligence and for giving birth to them without their permission. What do you think about that?
This will be so crazy.
Maybe you can have a conversation about that.
We need to have that conversation. Hey, Noblers, that's a story for us. Hit the comment box you want to hear. What would be your thought on that? Up to that point, we are so pleased to have Miss Sindani, Susan, on the show. And it was a pleasure. And we always thank you for allowing us to come to your spaces to share our stories and to connect. Until next time, thank you.